Good morning, good morning. I'm glad you guys are here to join us, both in person and online. Just want to welcome you here to Victory. We got some announcements for you. First up is we have a membership class for the first time in a long time. So if you are not an official member and you want to become one, Wednesday, September 15th, 6:30 p.m., dinner will be provided. Dinner will be provided. Hope to see you guys there. We'd love to have you become a member and join us on this journey together. Furthermore, we do want you to be able to stay in touch with us. You can follow us at Victory Anaheim and at Lantow David on Instagram. And if you would like to sign up for our weekly newsletter, email us info@victoryanaheim.org. That would be awesome. Stay in touch with us. Now, I'd like to invite you to rise as we worship. The worship team is going to lead us.
Good morning, everyone. So we're going to start off. We're going to do a little bit of exercise. We're going to move a little bit. I hope you're not uncomfortable with that. Let's all just bring out the child in us and sing. Looking out is a great big world. Where do I go, or how do I fit in? Gotta keep this one thing on my mind. Maker of all the universe is on my side. And if God is for me, who can be against me? God is for me. Who can be against me? He is my strength, He is my friend forever. God is for me. Who can be against me?
Great job, kids. That was beautiful. Go ahead and take your seats. Just want to take a minute and go to the Lord in thankfulness for Him, for His goodness. Just want to take a moment. I don't know how your week has been. Maybe it's been a slow week. Maybe it's been a fast week. A good week or a bad week. But you know, in the midst of our week, whatever we go through, Jesus kind of cuts through it and calls us to come to Him. And as we come to Jesus, when we see Him for who He is, that's when our hearts are most filled with gratitude because He's Lord of all. He's the one who meets us in our need. He's the one who comes alongside us where we are. And we just want to take a few minutes for our offering to give back to God. In our church, we practice the tithe, which is 10%. And we encourage you, if you've never taken that step of giving, to take the 3-month tithe challenge. You can read a little bit more about that on our website at Victory Anaheim. And you can do your giving through victoryanaheim.org/donate. And you can also, if you're here in person, we have the offering box in the back. God bless you as you give.
Through the eyes of men, it seems there's so much we have lost. As we look down the road where all the prodigals have walked, and one by one the enemy has whispered lies and led them off as slaves. But we know that you are God, yours is a victory. We know there is more to come that we may not yet see. So with the faith you've given us, we step into the valley unafraid. We call out to dry bones, come alive, come alive. We call out to dead hearts, come alive, come alive. Up out of the ashes, let us see an army rise.
Go ahead and take your seats. We just want to take a little bit of time to recognize that there's a season in life when the summer hits that we see graduations. It's a beautiful thing, the graduations of our lives. They're mile markers that mark a season of our life that is behind us as we look forward to what's in front of us. And so I just want to call up in just a moment. I'm going to call them up one by one. Four individuals in our church that have made these kind of transitions. And as they do this, one of the things that I'm going to do, I always do this with our graduates. Every time someone graduates, if you know me, if you hang around with me, if you talk with me much, you know I'm always reading. I always read, and I'm on this quest to help people become readers. I want people to be readers. I want people to think and keep thinking and keep growing. So if you've been around me at all, I probably handed you a book. Hey, you should read this book. Check this book out. This is a great book. This will help you in that area. This will help you in this area. And what I did with these graduates that's different than others, I usually choose a book and then I give all those graduates that book. But I didn't do that this time. I thought about these four individuals and who they are and where they're headed. And I thought about some of my favorite authors and books that they've written, and I got them each, as it turns out, a different book from a different author that I'm a big fan of. So I'm going to call them these four up. And if you'll do me a favor, you guys, you four, if you'll all come up at the same time, and then I'll recognize you each one at a time. So Lily, Connor, Roger, and Andrea, if you'll come forward, please. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start with ladies first, but I'm gonna also end with a lady, and I'm gonna sandwich in between the two guys. All right, so ladies first. We're gonna start with Lily. Thank you all for coming up. So Lily has graduated from high school, and I want, if it's all right, I just want to, yep. I want to brag about Lily for just a moment. So Lily graduated as one of the class valedictorians at her school. Anaheim Discovery Christian School. Yep, you can clap. She attended Anaheim Discovery Christian School all 4 years. She was involved in track and field for 3 years, and basketball for 2 years, student council for 2 years, worship team for 3 years. And she is currently attending Cal State Long Beach with pre-nursing. And she plans to get her BSN there and also work as an RN. So Lily, congratulations to you. I want to give you a big hug. This book came along in my life at a great time that was really meaningful to me. It's called Rediscover Jesus, and it's an invitation written by Matthew Kelly. This book is made up of short chapters that you could read one a day and go through the book in about 30 days, something like that. It's a great book, and I hope that it inspires you and challenges you afresh in your walk with Jesus. There's a little note from me in the book. I hope you enjoy that. Roger Hernandez. This young man, this guy is a pretty committed guy. He's a really loyal guy. Yes. Roger graduated from Anaheim High School, graduated with high honors, had a 4.0 GPA all 4 years. Great job, Roger. He was involved in the Bible Club for 1 year. He's actually the president of the Bible Club that year when he was the president of the Bible Club. Yeah. They did an outreach, and for some reason he invited me to be the speaker at the outreach to their school, to their students 1 year. Roger was in the marching and concert band for 1 year. He was in varsity wrestling for 1 year. And he's going to Cypress Community College for 2 years, and then he's going to transfer to Cal State Long Beach or Cal State Fullerton to obtain a bachelor's degree. And he will be studying criminal justice. His plan is that he'd like to apply for the police academy, either in become an officer either in LA or Orange County. And Roger says this about himself: when I become an officer, my goal is to change the way people view officers. I want to have people feel that they're safe and can trust the police. I want to let them know that there are good cops out there. I plan on doing that for a couple of years and then applying to become a United States Deputy Marshal. If I become a Deputy Marshal, I want to get promoted to Marshal, which is higher than a deputy. I plan on living in Orange County the rest of my life. I want to live I don't want to leave my friends or family. California is for me where I'm going to stay. Roger, I have a book for you called Success One Day at a Time by John Maxwell. And John Maxwell is one of the great leadership experts of all time. Anything you can read by John Maxwell is worth reading. I hope this book encourages you to succeed a day at a time with the habits you make in your life. Congratulations, Roger. This guy happens to be my youngest son, Connor Lantow. Connor knows I'm proud of him. I'm proud of all you guys. I'm proud of you as a dad, too. And Connor graduated from Milliken High School. One of the cool things about Milliken High School, where we live, is that Connor is graduating, or he graduated from the same high school where his grandfather graduated from. So David Lantow Sr. graduated from Milliken. And so there have been 3 generations of Lantows at Milliken High School. So there's kind of a legacy there, and it's located in Long Beach. It's a great school. Connor graduated with honors with a GPA of 3.5. He played football all 4 years while he was at Milliken, and they have a great football program. Connor was one of the captains of the team. This past year, he made all-league first team. There's all-league first team, all-league second team. As a defensive end, he made all-league first team. So he did his program well. Connor is going to Long Beach City College. He's working on a degree in construction technology and management. And Connor, I wish you well in all that you do. I picked up a book for you by possibly my favorite author. This is by Erwin Raphael McManus. And this is a book called Stand Against the Wind, Awaken the Hero Within. And this book, Connor, I hope this book challenges you and inspires you to go beyond what you think you're capable of and to go farther than you ever envision yourself going, because you've got what it takes to do it. So my son, I bless you. I love you. This young lady is amazing. She's amazing. Chris and Noemi did really well raising their children. And you have been working at where you are for a long time. You've been steady at it, Andrea. And she was part of the Herman Ostrow School of Dentistry at USC, class of 2020. She got her degree in the Doctorate of Dental Surgery, DDS. She received her license to practice in California as a general dentist in June of this year. Congratulations on that. Amazing. You can now officially call her Dr. Taginad. There's another Dr. Taginad in the house. She started a pediatric dental residency, which is a 2-year program. She's finishing her last year of training to specialize in pediatric dentistry through USC, primarily at Children's Hospital of Orange County. She's treating healthy children, those with special health care needs, and medically complex backgrounds. When I asked Andrea about her future plans, she plans to continue serving and advocating for the most vulnerable members of our community, children in Orange County. She plans to continue serving the Lord with the talents He has given her. Well done. Andrea, I picked up a book for you called Perfectly Yourself. It's actually also by Matthew Kelly that I gave Lily one of his books. Perfectly Yourself is about discovering God's dream for you. And Matthew Kelly has this style of writing. When he talks about like the whole person, he just cuts to the heart and really asks questions and speaks it. You'll feel like he's speaking into you through this book. And I hope that this book will challenge and inspire you the way it has for me. God bless you, and Andrea. These 4 graduates, the transition that you've made, that you're like in that transition time, you 3, you're adults. You're in that time where people go, well, I graduated from high school, I'm 18 years old, I'm an adult, right? But I'm not 21. Like we have these tiered entries into adulthood. In my mind, you're adults. I won't treat you like children. Young men, young lady, you've been an adult, young lady. And every culture has these transition points. Well, when they get married, then you're really an adult or something like that. But you know what? You're adults. God bless each of you. And I just want to send a prayer or say a prayer for you guys as we close this time. Is that all right? Let's pray. Lord, I thank you for each of these young people. I thank you for what you've done in their lives, how you've formed them, shaped them, prepared them for this season that they're in. Lord, who they are is no accident. The experiences they've had were not by chance. And every day of their lives, you've been for them. You've been working for them. You've been protecting them and guiding them. And my prayer, Lord, is that each of these, Roger, Lily, Connor, Lord, I just pray that each of them you would bless, and Andrea, I pray that you would bless each one of them. Fill them with your grace. Fill them with your love. Fill them with a vision for the way that they can live. I pray, God, that they would live in the blessing of following you every day of their lives. I pray that they would blossom into people wholly committed to you that make a difference in the world by your name and by your grace and by your power, Jesus. We bless them. Amen. Amen. God bless you guys. All right, and I believe the worship team's coming back for another tune. Or is this, wait, I'm sorry, it's on me. My bad, sorry about that. I need to ask a favor then. David, my Bible's back there next to Mike Strike. Can you bring that? It's on the chair up there. Sorry, wasn't looking at an order. Terrible. You ever had one of those days when you were off? Today was one of those days for me. Started off. And thanks for your kindness and graciousness. And today we're going to start a new series. All right, this series is called Gentle and Lowly. Thank you so much, David. This series is called Gentle and Lowly. And each of you were given a book, the copy of Gentle and Lowly. For you guys online, I'm sorry you weren't given the book, but you can get a book. By the generosity of some folks who want to see our church succeed, we were part of a grant where everyone in our church receives a copy of the book Gentle and Lowly by Dale Ortland. And we begin a series that we're going to do a series over the next 8 weeks based on this book. So you can even read along. Our sermons won't be exactly out of the book, but they'll be based on the themes of several of the chapters of the book. And I hope that you guys enjoy it as we do this series. One of the things that this series is about, it doesn't speak to every day of our lives. It doesn't speak to us in every day of our lives, meaning the posture that we have. Sometimes the posture we have, we're not ready to receive the message of this series. So, like when you have it all together, you probably won't receive much the message of this series. When you have zero needs, you won't be able to receive the message of this series. When you're full of confidence and completely self-assured, it'll be more difficult to receive the message of this series. But these words of Jesus that we're going to explore in this series, they speak to us in certain times in our lives. They speak to us in times when we need to hear from the gentle and lowly heart of Jesus. Jesus speaks to us with these words when we're discouraged. When you're discouraged, you can receive the words of this series. When you're frustrated, you can receive these words. When you're tired and when you lose faith in God, then you're postured to receive the message of this series. When you become cynical and when you feel as though you can barely hold on, then you're ready to receive the message of this series. This series is for everyday, normal Christians who suffer and who feel like they're distant from God. How does Jesus feel toward these people? How does Jesus feel toward them? We will stay focused on one overriding question through this series. Who is he? Who is Jesus? We are not focusing as much on what he's done. We are asking who he is. It's one thing to know the doctrines of the incarnation and the atonement. It's quite another thing to know the heart of Jesus for you, who he is. So in the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Gospels are where we have the scriptures that contain the life and times of Jesus. And in those four Gospels, there are 89 chapters of biblical text. 89 chapters. And in those 89 chapters, there's only one place where Jesus tells us his own heart. There's only one out of those 89 chapters, one place where Jesus tells us his own heart. And that's our text for today. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to open this message in prayer. You can follow along. This is from Matthew chapter 11, verses 25 through 30. At that time, Jesus declared, I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise and understanding and revealed them to little children. Yes, Father, for such was your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Join me in prayer. Our Father in heaven, thank you for this day, and thank you for your goodness and for your power and for your love. And I pray that right now, as we hear in these few moments, as we hear from your word, that you would speak to our hearts, speak to our tired souls, and call out goodness and graciousness and greatness out of us. But Lord, as our souls suffer with burdens, my prayer, Lord, especially in these times where there's so much turmoil in the world, so much turmoil. Lord, we pray for the people in Afghanistan as there's this transition to the Taliban ruling this country. Lord, so many people fear for their lives, for their livelihood. So many people fear that their lives are over. But Lord, I pray that you would protect and provide and care for. I pray that you be with our troops who are there, carrying people out, flying people away into safety. Lord, I pray that you bless those who are about to be spread or being spread all over the world in a diaspora of refugees. I pray that you be with them. Lord, I pray that we be able to get out every American. I pray that you be with our troops, that they would be brave warriors. I pray that you would go before them in all that they do, taking people to safety. I pray that you would restrain evil in the world. I pray that good people would do right to bring goodness wherever they go. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. You know, a side note, one of our community partners, Access California, we serve alongside them. We've done service projects with them, and we'll do more. And Nala, the director, she says that we should anticipate 50,000 Afghani refugees into our area in the coming months. And wherever you feel about what's going on, we're about to receive a lot of people into our community that have never been to America and may even have, who knows what their opinion or perspective on America is, but we have an opportunity to serve, and I pray that God's people would rise up and be at the forefront of serving. So, today's message is called His Very Heart. The very heart of Jesus is what we're looking at. And in both the Old and New Testaments, I want to say something about the concept of heart, the heart in the Scriptures. Because you see the heart, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. You see it in both the Old Testament and the New Testament, the Jewish Scriptures and the Christian Scriptures. And I want to be clear on heart at the beginning of this, because we're talking about the heart of Jesus. We're not talking about what Jesus has done. We're talking about who Jesus is. And because Jesus said, I want to tell you my heart, this message is called His Very Heart. So when we look at heart in the Scriptures, it's not talking about our emotions or our emotional life only, but it's talking about the center of all that we do. It's talking about the why of our lives. Why do you live? Why do you do what you do? What are you driven by? That's your heart. And the heart is what we're passionate about. The heart is what drives us to do what we do. The heart keeps us on the path that we're on, even when it gets tough, even when it gets hard. The heart in Scripture is not part of who we are, it's central to who we are. And our heart is what defines and directs our actions. The heart is what makes us human beings the way we are human beings. It makes us the kind of human beings we are. In this Scripture, when Jesus exposes His innermost desire of His heart, we find two things at the very center of it. We find two things: gentle and lowly. You can't make that up. If you were trying to envision, you said, what does the God of the universe look like? What is His heart like? What's at the heartbeat of who God is? I don't think anyone would come up with the words gentle and lowly. We might come up with powerful and we might come up with proud, or we might come up with dignified. But I don't think we would come up with gentle and lowly. But yet, when Jesus reveals his own heart, that's what's there. Gentle and lowly is at the heartbeat of Jesus. And so, in this passage, I want to draw attention to 3 specific words. And those are 2 of them. So, starting with gentle. So, in verse 29 of this scripture, in verse 29, Jesus talks about how he is gentle. This word, translated as gentle, is only used 4 times in the New Testament. This word that's translated as gentle. And it's translated with the words meek, humble, and gentle. And so this word gentle, it speaks to the character of a person, the humility of a person. A humble person is one who thinks of themselves not as better than anyone else, but as traveling alongside others. Jesus is not harsh or reactionary. Human beings, we are harsh and we are reactionary, but not Jesus. He is humble and he's gentle. He's the most understanding person in the world. He does not point his finger at anyone. He opens his arms. And that's the heart of Jesus. So when we're weary from our heavy labors, the thing we need most is someone to come alongside us and listen to us and encourage us. And that's exactly what Jesus does. And that's exactly who Jesus is. He comes alongside us. He will listen. He will care for our souls because it's at the heartbeat of who Jesus is. He's gentle. Also in verse 29, when Jesus talks about the second word that we're going to highlight is lowly. Lowly is this second word. Lowly speaks not of a character trait like gentle. Lowly speaks of social status. A lowly person was born into a lower estate than most. They know the crushing pain of poverty, and they've also received the condescending looks of the wealthy, the well-off, and the conceited. The lowly are not socially impressive people. They are not the life of the party. When there's a party going on, the lowly person is not the one that people gravitate and want to be around. The lowly person, you might not even notice their presence, but they're there. And the thing about the lowly is that they are accessible. Anyone can talk to the lowly. Anyone can speak with the lowly. I want you to notice something in this scripture. The thing that qualifies you to come into the presence of Jesus, the gentle and the lowly. You know how you have kings of old, and they would sort of have their nicknames. And you can think of King Richard, the Lionheart. And popes sometimes would do this too. They have nicknames for themselves. If we had a nickname for Jesus, if we gave Jesus a name, it would be Jesus, the gentle and lowly. And if Jesus were going to start his social media page, you know how it talks about your profile and you go like, about me? Jesus would say, I'm gentle and lowly of heart when he describes himself. And I want you to notice something in verse 28. It says this. It says, come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. It's pretty significant here that the thing that qualifies people to come to Jesus is those who are heavy laden. those who have burdens. Your burden qualifies you to come to Jesus. Your burden is the thing that sets you apart to be able to come to Jesus. And Jesus, this invitation that Jesus makes is to come all who labor and are heavy laden. He invites all of those to come. He doesn't say, I invite all of the arrogant to come. He doesn't say, I invite the conceited and the self-assured. He doesn't say, come if you're better than other people. In fact, just a few verses earlier, you can read it for yourself in chapter 11, he talks to arrogant people and he goes, woe to you. And he talks about his posture toward them, and it's no bueno, no bueno. And so that's just a few verses in front of this. And then in contrast, he goes, but you who have burdens, you who are at wit's end, you who feel like you have nowhere else to turn, come to me. That's who Jesus invites to come. And that's powerful. It's a powerful invitation. You don't need to unburden yourself to come to Jesus. I got to fix this stuff up, then I can come to Jesus. No. Come to Jesus with your burden, and he will give soul rest to you. Your burden is what qualifies you to come to Jesus. There's no payment required. It's a ministry of Jesus to give rest to your soul. His rest is a gift. Jesus' desire is that you would find rest for your souls. I don't know about you, but there get to be times in my life, sometimes I'm not ready to receive this message like I talked about earlier. There are times when I am not ready to receive this message. I've noticed that I have this propensity to be arrogant. I've noticed it about myself. And sometimes I get self-assured. Sometimes I think I'm better than I am. And I've noticed that about myself. And then sometimes God gets a hold of me, and then I'm able to look myself in the mirror and just go, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You're not better than anybody. You know what I mean? Like when you see people who are doing dumb things, when you see people and you're going, what are they thinking? Oh, I know, they're not. That's when that arrogance comes out in me. Those moments. When I watch people on the news and I watch them sputtering out lies, and then I see the people like living by those lies, and I'm like, ay, Dios mío. What is happening? It's those moments where I begin to think of myself as better than I am. And the Lord has to remind me through circumstances to settle down. I have my moments when people go, what was he thinking? I have my moments when people go, this guy. I have my moments. And Jesus is calling us not when we have arrogance. When you have arrogance, you can't receive Jesus. Even as a Christian, if arrogance qualifies you or characterizes you in that moment, your ability to hear from Jesus, like you have blocks, blinders. You have a wall that keeps you from Jesus. And so we need things that sort of bring humility into our lives to be able to come to Jesus. And when we are humble, when we are burdened, that's when we're postured in a way that we can receive Jesus. And we can open ourselves up to Jesus. And so there's only one thing to know about Jesus, the creator of the universe. That one thing is to know that he is gentle and lowly. He's lowly of heart. If Jesus wanted you to know anything about him, that would be all he wanted you to know about him. There's one other word that I want you to notice about this passage of Scripture. So we've got gentle, we've got lowly. Gentleness speaks to the character of humility. Lowly speaks to the social status of accessibility and availability. Now this other word comes from verse 30. In verse 30 it says this, "For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." My yoke is easy, my burden is light. Jesus' heart for those who labor and are heavy burden or heavy laden is to find rest for their souls. Not rest for their bodies, but rest for their souls. You need rest for your bodies. That's a given. Go get rest for your bodies. But Jesus is talking about rest for your souls. In fact, that rest for your bodies contributes to your mental well-being. You don't see completely clearly unless your body has the adequate rest it needs. And you still need 8 hours of rest, even if you only sleep 3 or 4. You need to find ways to rest. Well, but Jesus is talking about rest for your souls. The Christian life, Jesus knows this about the Christian life. Anybody ever said the Christian life is hunky-dory, the Christian life is sunshine and rainbows? Was mistaken. The Christian life is hard and full of labor. The promise of Jesus is not to find rest for your bodies, but to find rest for your souls. And I want to point out something about this word yoke. Jesus is not talking about the way you eat your eggs, all right? Jesus is talking, when he says, my yoke is easy, you'll be like, what? Does that mean like they're poached eggs or something? No. I like mine over easy, personally. But Jesus is not talking about eggs. A yoke is a crossbar that is laid on the oxen to force them to drag farming equipment through the field. So when forcing the oxen to drag the farming equipment to plow the field, that's the yoke of Jesus. And the yoke is 2 oxen tied to each other or yoked to each other. And they pull the equipment along to plow the field. Well, Jesus is kind of making an oxymoron here. He's being a little bit facetious, a little bit joking when he says this, because he's talking about something that is used to force the oxen to labor. And he's talking about, hey, come to me, all of you who have all this heavy labor and who are burdened. Come to me. And he says, my yoke, the thing that I force on you, is easy. My yoke is a non-yoke. My yoke will go light on you. I won't bring a burden to you. The burden I bring to you is no burden. The burden I bring to you is rest for your souls. It's kind of like this. The yoke that Jesus brings is as much a burden to imagine the drowning man. The drowning man, and you lay the burden on him of putting the life preserver around him. That heavy burden of getting this, it's too much of a burden to get the life preserver on. The life preserver preserves your life. You need the life preserver. And so, in the same way, Jesus says, the burden I bring is light and easy and restful. That's the burden I bring to you. Can you receive that burden? Do you need that burden? That's what Jesus is talking about. And so his yoke is kindness. The world needs kindness. The world, look at me, people of God, the world needs kindness. The kindness that Jesus brings, that you're the representative of Jesus. Go bring the kindness of Jesus into the world after you receive the kindness of Jesus. And the yoke that Jesus brings is health and goodness. Where there's poison and cancerous venom of this world, Jesus brings a light burden and rest for your souls. I want to say this one last thing about this. We project onto Jesus the twisted ideas of how we see the world and how the world works. We do that unknowingly. Do you believe me? Do you think? Do you doubt me? Think about this. Human nature says that the wealthier person looks down on the poor people, right? Isn't that kind of the image that we envision of the wealthy? And so we're sort of surprised when someone who's wealthy, like, sort of gets their hands dirty. Like, we're like, look, a wealthy person who's like the common person. Wow, I've never seen that. That's so rare. And we sort of like point to them and like, wow, that's the way exception to the rule. We think of the wealthy as, well, they would never do this. That's beneath them. They would never get to our level, right? The wealthy don't come to church services like this. They don't need God, right? Wealthy people aren't going to church today, are they? Right? I don't know, maybe some of them are. But we think of the wealthy as high and mighty and above the things that we do, right? What about this? So, a beautiful person, the more beautiful the person is, the more they're appalled by ugliness. Ew, gross. All you beautiful people out there, I see you. I see you. That's how we think of wealth and beauty in the world. We think of the beautiful people as, well, yeah, they wouldn't get at our level. And we think of the wealthy people, yeah, they wouldn't come down to condescend like us. And we impose that on Jesus. Jesus is high and beautiful. Jesus is up here. He's God. And yet we need to know this, that Jesus is telling us he's humble and lowly of heart. Without realizing it, we assume that the high position of Jesus looks down on human beings in the way that we think in the world. Like he holds his nose up toward us. But Jesus is not conceited. He is available and accessible. He is approachable and open to those who will come. So we begin this series, gentle and lowly, with a glimpse into the very heart of Jesus. I want to encourage you to read along. Since you have a copy of the book, you who are online too, the online crowd, if you reach out to us, we have a copy for you. And you'll have to reach out to us through social media or send us an email, and we can set it up for you to come pick one up at the church office. So next week, we're going to look at the heart in action, which is chapter 2, if you want to read ahead. And the sermon doesn't follow the book exactly. It takes the idea of the book. But as we close out this sermon, I just want to invite you to respond to the heart of Jesus, the gentle and lowly one, the one who is for you and wants rest for your soul. Some of you might need to make a decision to put your faith in Jesus. You might have come to that point in your life where you said, you know what? I believe in God. I know he's out there, but I haven't ever leaned in to God. I've just kind of been a spectator. But I want to take a dive into the heart of Jesus. And if that's you, I just want to give you that opportunity. It's a simple thing. As the worship team comes, I'm going to close out in a word of prayer, lead you in this prayer. Our God and our Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the heart of Jesus that is humble and lowly. Thank you, Jesus, that you desire rest for our souls. When you wake up in the morning, you desire for our rest of our souls. I pray, Jesus, that you be with us in these moments as we find rest in you. And if you have not yet found rest in Jesus, I want to invite you to say this little prayer. Jesus, I give you my life. Jesus, I give you my life. When you put your life into the hands of Jesus, He provides rest for your soul. He heals you and restores you and brings you into a place where you're no longer burdened by the heavy things that weigh you down. Your life still has struggles, but in the struggles, He goes with you. And that's what following Jesus is about. So God bless you as you sing with us right now.
If you want to stand, you're welcome to stand. Let's sing together. I will feast at the table of the Lord. I will feast at the table of the Lord. I won't hunger anymore at His table. Sing it again. I will feast at the table of the Lord. I will feast at the table of the Lord. I won't hunger anymore at His table. Sing it out so the angels hear you. Come all you weary, come and find. His yoke is easy, His burden light. He is able, He will restore at the table of the Lord. There is peace at the table of the Lord. There is peace at the table of the Lord. Yeah. I won't worry anymore at His table. There is healing at the table of the Lord. Yeah. There is healing at the table of the Lord. I won't suffer anymore at His table. Sing it out. Come all you weary, come and find. His yoke is easy, His burden light. Yeah. He is able, He will restore at the table of the Lord. I know He has a place for me. Oh, what joy will fill my heart with the saints around the mercy seat of God. Come all you weary, come and find. His yoke is easy, His burden light. He is able, He will restore at the table of the Lord. At the table of the Lord. I'm invited to the table of the Lord. I'm invited to the table of the Lord. He says, come just as you are at His table. Amen.
Wow, that song was just what my soul needed. Beautiful. The Lord is good. I pray that as we go out today, that the Lord would fill us each with strength and goodness and power. If anyone put their faith in Jesus, we just want you to know we want to journey with you. Following Jesus isn't the kind of thing that you do by yourself. That's why churches exist. We gather together with other believers in Jesus to encourage each other, strengthen each other, and help each other walk the walk and talk the talk. And so if you put your faith in Jesus today, let us know by sending us an email to info@victoryanaheim.org so we can help you begin and take your first steps to following Jesus. The Lord is good. As you go out, I pray that you be filled with grace, goodness, strength, and love. I pray that you would go out with them, having received the message of his kindness, that you would bring kindness into the world, into a world that so desperately needs it. Not just any kindness, but the kindness that comes from Jesus. The kind of kindness that you experience when you come to him with your burdens and you receive his yoke, which is easy, and his burden, which is light. So God bless you, and join us once more as we sing.